virtual programs. Thank you so much to Teleflora's commitment to education for florists. Thank you to all of you for taking the time to join us and celebrate all of our love for flowers. Before we get started, I did want to let you know that if you have any questions for John or for Joanna or Amy or I, please do ask them in the chat function that you see on the bottom of your screen. If we can get to them during the program, we will, but if not, we will definitely get back to you afterwards. In order to keep up to date we've got so much coming up this summer with virtual events that we're going to do. So if you would hop on over to Facebook after this program is finished and like us at Teleflora Industry Relations and Education. That's where we're going to be posting all the information about upcoming programs, webinars, panel discussions. We really wanted to keep this time with you as very timely and as up to date as we possibly can be. And thanks to the power of the internet, I'm in LA and my lovely friends are in Wisconsin and on the East Coast. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to my awesome co-worker, Joanna, who's on the phone. Joanna, would you like to say a few things before we get started?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lottie, for leading this unique virtual education program. And thank you to all of the attendees joining us today. I am Joanna Zervis, one of Teleflora's territory sales managers, and I'm very proud of Teleflora's commitment to the floral industry via our best-in-class educational programs, technology products, and services. To learn more about all of our offerings, please visit myteleflora.com. I assure you, we are in for a magical evening, as I have had the pleasure of witnessing John Hosek, our incredibly talented and new Teleflora member, in action. It is now my pleasure to introduce our New York Capital District Unit President and AISD designer herself, Amy Harbig. Amy, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am Amy Harbig. As Joanna told you, I am from the Flower Garden in scenic Saugerties, New York, and I am really excited to be a part of this virtual design extravaganza. It's so exciting to be a part of this sort of fun stuff in the 21st century. I'm really proud of the way Teleflora is leading our industry in floral education this century as they have all last century. I am so excited, and it is a real pleasure to be able to attend a normal Wednesday night design show in our own house. It's just I'm so excited. I really wish I could get my hands on the product to see what my friend John Hosek has created. He is an amazing designer. He's won a lot of awards. He is also a member of the American Institute of Professional Professional Floral Communicators International, the Canadian Academy of Floral Arts. He is a member of AIFD, and he's an amazing designer. I am very happy to be able to introduce Mr. John Hosek.
Yay!
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and everybody's tuning from their home, so this is a whole new venture as we're seeing things back and forth. So this is going to be kind of fun today. So you're in my home today. This is actually my shop, and I originally was an event company, like they had mentioned, Joanne had mentioned. I'm a new Teleflora member. I was an event company in a boutique, and I'm like, I am all over this to become a Teleflora member. So I just joined this last week, and I'm excited about everything that's happening. And I'm extremely excited for you to see what we've created today. My staff and a few other peeps that I've been able to have come in, we have been designing our little hearts out. And we see a lot of trends, and I'm going to talk a little bit about trends. I'm going to talk about what things are happening. And one person's name, which I want to bring into the beginning, his name is Alan Berg. He is kind of like the guru of our industry of wedding planners, wedding the knot. And he put a webinar on earlier this week, which I was partaking in, just to be able to give you the information, things I think we as florists need to be able to change things up. We as Teleflora florists, we are the cutting edge, like Lottie had said, and we're doing the best things possible. And what we're hearing it as right now is it's called the new normal. Well, that's not quite what it's called. It's going to be called the new reality, because people are always going to get married. We think about it, marriages are always going to be happening, and we are going to be that person to be the connection for these brides and grooms and grooms and grooms and brides when they are getting married. So this new normal is our new reality. I mean, it's up to us when we start thinking about things, some of the statistics, and I won't go too long into statistics, and I'll add some more pieces through, because we made a lot of arrangements because I wanted to dazzle you with a lot of fun stuff and some techniques. But we think about weddings in general, 93% have rescheduled their wedding, but it's either postponed, but they're not canceling it. So we're also seeing like 92%, they're considering not lowering their budget. So that means for some of these weddings that used to be on a grand scale, it's still the same kind of money. But for us, it's to find that capital and be able to make that wow factor. You know, we like wow. You know, I like bling. I like some of the fun stuff. So you'll see a little bit of this, and you're going to see some fun techniques. And we also see 96% of them not changing the locations. They want us as the professionals to be able to do it for them. So we're going to see a lot of middle of the day weddings happening in the week. Monday through Thursday may be a different norm. And if we think about this year in particular, there are only about 22 or 25 Saturdays left. So if there are people who are going to be, I'm excluding holidays and things like that if we do the counting, so we're going to have 40 or 60% more weddings happening next year. Wow! That means we're going to be off the scale. We're going to be busy as little bees making things happen. So I want to give you some fun ideas and some fun things to be able to translate that into some money. So without any further ado, we're going to start with some designs, and I'm going to start with this first design. And for those of you that know me, I'm actually, originally I was an event company and I was a boutique. So we have lots of rentals, and you're going to see our little sidewalk fair here. We just did, and I love this term, they're called mini monies now. So what's cool about that is we did our first mini money, not this last weekend, but the weekend before last. And this backdrop that you're seeing back here is what we did for them. And it was really cool. It was up for us as professionals to be able to give them the ideas to be able to do something fun. So we did a backdrop, and I love lighting. Lighting makes a really big difference when things are happening. And make sure I turn these little kids on. I have the right one here. So my guys, when we set up, give me some color here. There we go. So lighting is extremely key and important. So these are just crystal drops, and we know lanterns are amazing. You can see the fun lanterns that are actually in this element here. Fun colors dripping out, a little bit of the aluminum wire from Oasis, but ribbons, backdrops. So what ended up happening is we staged everything. We had it for stages. They had 40 people coming. We had patio umbrellas throughout her yard. So as our group of people came, they were greeted. They moved to a new umbrella. They moved to a new section because it was a really sunny day. They came up on the patio. They watched the mini moni happen, had pictures taken in front of the backdrop. They moved through. They actually had their little snacks and moved their way through. So it's up to us to find some really creative ways to make that happen. So I wanted to share this with you guys because it worked really well for us. And again, it's just pipe and drape poles. The poles are covered in the Fitz River diamonds. You can see a little, you guys know I like sparkles, and sparkles are all about it. A little bling is always awesome. So you'll see some fun things. And we know as Teleflora, we need good partners. And partners, I've been very blessed to have some wonderful things. We've had Syndicate Sales send product. We've had Accent Decor send product. We've also had Teleflora sending wonderful Teleflora containers. Also, one of our wholesalers that we use a lot of times here is Kruger Wholesale. They also supplied me with flowers. But a lot of things, a lot of times when we're needing something a little bit different, which I was tantalizing and dipping into it, when we think about Flower Buyer is a great way for us to accessorize our flowers and our flower accessories. So with that being said, we're going to keep on moving. So that's our backdrop with our lanterns. What's great about this, it just gives you that great impact. It's a really fun impact. So this next trend we're going to follow into a little bit is called a new leaf. And a new leaf is a very, very, I'm going to call it more of a, it can be botanical. We're seeing some really natural things to it. And I did a very large vase or vase. The difference in a vase and a vase is $5, right? So this is a nice vase. So if it's $5 or less, it would have been a vase. But Tillandsias, Echeveria, any kind of those succulents are just amazing products. This is a simple Kubari grid, so it's curly willow that I wound around my hand, plopped it into the vessel itself, and just a little bit of Queen's Anne lace. And again, I think these are some elements that we don't normally see together. When we think of Queen's Anne lace and baby's breath, they're kind of like some people say, I don't want any Queen's Anne lace or baby's breath. They don't want those fillers, but those fillers are really predominant and they're really on trend right now, what we're seeing. So that Tillandsia in the center there. And I love bear grass. And those of you that know me know I love working with this product. And I like doing this. And people always say, oh my goodness, you're going to cut yourself. But when you're working with bear grass, do not hydrate it. Do not give it a fresh cut. Leave it in its box dry. It has a blade to it. When it's dry, the blade curls in. You won't get cut. When it's wet, it's turgid, it's stiff, and it becomes very sharp. And we know bear grass cuts hurt. So all I'm going to do, and again, this is a fun group, and we had a great focal of the Tillandsia that's working through. I just took a little piece of bind wire around here. And again, if I wanted to break the fibers down, I call it my little curling iron technique, wrap it around your finger and warm it up. But on this, I just want it to be bulky. I want it to be fun. And I'm just going to lift the little Tillandsia skirt up. It's like, no, don't let me go. And I'm just going to pop this little skirt.
Is there a way for you to get a little closer in that? Some of our viewers are asking for a little close-up shot of that amazing. Thank you.
You got it. How's that?
Perfect.
So again,
thank you.
Perfect. Yay! So perfect. So again, the Tillandsia for the focal, and I just did a greening pin. Stay in closer if it helps. So, and just that water, that fun bear grass, you know, we could loop and tie that, but I just like how really natural that becomes, this element of fun and play. And again, it reinforces that same line of the Tillandsias. And this is only one bunch of Queen's Anne lace, the Tillandsia and the curly willows, but what a visual impact this has on buying space. I mean, this would be great in someone's home, and we're seeing a lot of our mini monis, well, they're wanting bigger set pieces. They need something that's going to be that wow factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving some of these pieces into another little spot. So I'm going to move this little kid over to here. So well, a lot of these settings to give it a backdrop, so it might actually be in someone's home. You know, we obviously have a lot of things in our store that are set pieces. But again, that contrast of that coppers and that wood, it's that very, very natural element that's really cool. So with this kind of a trend, we're seeing that very natural with new leaf. Chris, bring me a bouquet here. So, yummalish. So again, baby's breath is one of those flowers. I think a lot of times, is that good for a picture? I'm hoping everyone can see it. And again, I'm carrying that Tillandsia through again, because the Tillandsia is one of those, it's a great focal. The succulents, we're seeing it as a trend, just hot, hot, hot. This is a traditional spiraled hand tie. So when I did this one, I mean, you're going to see some of the wonderful Holly Chapel. I asked for some of the eggs and pillows and things of that nature, but I wanted this to be a traditional hand tie just to show off under the scabiosa pods, how beautiful those are, the baby's breath, a little bit of the gunny eucalyptus. And again, we're seeing cascades coming back into the industry and how fun these cascades are. And again, when we have our bride, we want her to tell her to rest her hands right on her hip bones, so it becomes this great little look for it. But again, I've used succulents and the Tillandsia and the standard roses, but just gives you that beautiful dripping, cascading with the grasses working their way back and forth. And again, I think as we look at cascades and we look at bouquets, you're going to see all kinds of fun things coming out. And I actually going to drop this in a beautiful Syndicate sales container. And again, I want to say kudos to a lot of the things that we get for partners. We all have to have partners in our relationship and our florals. And just doing this great little container from Syndicate. And again, how these companions play so nicely together. We can see beautiful if you're going to have a set piece, or if they're going to actually have different things. We could set a few of these down just to merchandise it a little bit better, which is fun. So as centerpieces go, I think we're seeing things look different now. And I love these Teleflor containers, our bamboo line. Aren't those fun? I'm going to set these little kids down here. And I wanted this to be a centerpiece. So as a centerpiece goes, I mean, a lot of times we think of that 14-inch sight line that you either want to see over it or go below it. And it's all about texture. And when we see that texture, it's really cool. I love using the Mega Wire from Oasis and creating these. And we sell a lot of these things for little parties because they're reusable. The Tillandsias, they're just on this fun little grid. I don't know if you can zoom in here for me, Scott. It's just spiraled into this little grid. So you can actually just rotate the little gizzards right down in there, and they just sit in so nicely. But how cool this would be for a centerpiece. You could put a fun little candlelight. And again, we're seeing on this that you may only have 1 or 2 tables or maybe 6 tables set around, but make it be that wow impact that people are like, oh, I just have to have that. But again, doing those chocolate colors, I mean, look how beautiful the Teleflor containers work with this, and that lime green. And this some of the, excuse me, some of the moss sponge mushroom from Syndicate Sales, which is just great. But all the Tillandsias are all fresh and live. This could be done as a permanent botanical. We know we like permanent botanicals too, right? So you can actually do this as a permanent and have the Tillandsias for selling into your shop. But this gives multi-purpose usage. And you could see if this was on a beautiful table right here, fun little burlap, and I put a little bit of bling in here. We're going to move things around a little bit, but how fun that could be for a table of 4 or a table of 6. Move a few of these little colors out of the way. But it really is that great. It's those really natural colors and how that tonal palettes play together. The Tillandsia and the Scabiosa buds just make it a really fun. And again, taking you guys know I love this wire, and it's called aluminum, right? So a good friend of mine, her name's Wendy Andrade, and I'll give her kudos for it. She's from the UK. I asked her one day, I said, Wendy, would you hand me the aluminum? And she's like, Jose, what are you talking about? She's from the UK. And I said, the aluminum. She goes, oh, that's aluminium. And I'm like, ooh, aluminium, much better. So we like aluminium, much, much better. Here's another wonderful design. This is actually a container from Syndicate Sales. And cloches and enclosures. I mean, it's like that little vegetative garden, which is just yummy and fun. And again, I love this. When we were doing this, one of my gals from the shop, Sammy, she put this one together. And again, using some of the Syndicate, they have their moss bags that have all these scrumptious pieces in there from the lavenders, the lime greens, there's some rocks, and we also had some glass crystals. You'll see some of these glass crystals as I rotate this around through, really make a big difference. It makes your eye rest. The Argonis, which is the burgundy foliage, which is absolutely amazing, and succulents, which are buried into there too. So succulents are hot. They're going to be staying on trend. They're going to be wonderful. So that just gives us a really great way to look at some of these fun things. So again, these cloches are just beautiful as they work through there. So we're going to set this down in this little collection. And Miss Chris is bringing me one more.
John, sorry to interrupt. We have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Are the Tillandsias air plants, will they continue to be alive after the event, or are they considered dry material?
They will still be alive. What I love about it, many times we get them back. So we give them baths about once a week. Actually, Chris drops them into a bucket of water and lets them soak up. They will dry if you let them, don't give them any water. But if you let them, bring them back, we've been able to this again, it's a profitability thing. We've been able to resell them and reuse them and repurpose them many times. So yes, Tillandsias, I would say they stay as a fresh item. But there are some beautiful permanent botanical Tillandsias you could use if you're looking for a permanent. We got these in and I thought they were spectacular. So thank you for that question.
Awesome, thank you.
And again, yeah, no worries. So again, this is one of the, I love lanterns. Lanterns are hot. This is from Syndicate Sales. And again, we wanted to carry that same thought through. And as I mentioned before, I love bear grass. So we did this fun little bear grass knot. Chris was welcoming it together. And we wrap the bear grass around our finger and pull it back off. So it creates all these fun little sinuous lines and attach on the Tillandsia. She'll use some Oasis glue, some of the mosses, just to give it a fun accent. So if I set this down, you can see how beautiful that would be. You can have maybe for a place card or an entrance, but lanterns are hot. We're going to see lanterns continuing to stay in the market share, and they're just absolutely beautiful. And again, getting some great depth in the design, working some of these pieces back and forth. We're going to move this back over to this little set here. And you can kind of see as these little chocolates, we've got some great Teleflor containers coming. And again, as Lottie had mentioned on the flyer from Banquet to, actually I just lost the name of the name, from Banquet to Hall. So a lot of our banquet halls are doing our long banquet tables. So a lot of times we're trying to find fun ways to be able to do that. I love this gold container from Teleflora. They're, again, mixing metals, mixing some of the metals. And again, when we look at New Leaf, that trend has some dried things in it. So I'm not sure if that was part of that question. So we actually have some dried feathers. We have some pampas grass, the Tillandsia again. But these are made to be a connection design. So independently, they work great by themselves. But you can see, scooching these little kids together, they become one sinuous line, how that works together and flows so nicely. This little kid needs a little tucky up here. Always got to be able to move around a little bit. But it gives us a wonderful rhythm and a wonderful line for that horizontal line and design as it comes out. And again, working some great, I love the lime green hydrangeas, are wonderful. These are scabiosa pods, some of the beautiful fresh scabiosa, how wonderful those little kids are too. And again, I'm gonna move this little kid over to here. You can set this down, scabiosa, a little picture of that. I'll grab one of those. So this is a beautiful container from Accent Decor. And one of my gals today did just some fun stuff. It's actually a glass with a metal ring, and we had some great reed that was around here. And she's just been taking a basket weaving class and has been having some fun stuff with it. I said, make it wild, make it fun, make it feel like it's this whole garden. And I just love what she did with it. We actually had some of the moss to it. So she wet the cane first before she put it on there and whipped this through there, added some succulents. And again, some more Tillandsias. And these are just airplane plants that we just set in there, different colors of reds. These little bitty baby ones are so cute too. Just having some fun things, grouping like items together, give us a great impact. But just that fun trend, as you can see these looks as they start going together, they really play so nicely as a team and working back and forth. So let's bring one of these, sure. So we're seeing some fun bouquets. So I want to tantalize you with some. So as you see this bouquet, this is finger crochet. So as you look at this, it is one of those elements which is, it looks like, oh my God, it's so hard. But I designed it as a muff. So I'm a pretty bride here, as you can see. But to go over her arm for a cascade, and it really is, Chris, if I could borrow you for a minute, I'll let you wear this just for a second. But it really is a very, very simple technique. I'm just going to show you the technique quickly. And as we start doing more of these, we'll be able to do more things. So I have, this is just my jewelry wire. So I'm twisting it. And if I had beads, I'd put my beads on first. So I'm looping through, looping through. Get the tension off the spool, makes it a little bit easier. Through, let's say I want to put a bead, I'd pull a bead up, pull it through, and so on and so on. And really, this is one of those things you can do in front of the TV, really fast and easy. And look how fun that is. It's like this beautiful piece of artistry that we now have. And all I did was taking the orchids, the cymbidiums and the dendrobiums both, and just gluing them on there. And I actually attached a little piece of ribbon to make sure it held on really nice and tight, just so it's not going to come off. But you know, how beautiful, look at that rhythm line. You have the focal at the top working its way down into the bouquet. So cascades are coming back and they are fun, fun, fun. So I hope you're enjoying this fun little cascade. We're going to let this little kid drip right off the edge here. So that's going to be kind of fun.
John,
again,
I have another question for you.
Yes, please.
Sorry, they're coming in thick and fast. Thank you so much,
No,
everyone.
I'm glad. I'm hoping people are
great.
enjoying it.
I have a question from Jackie. Hi, Jackie. How far in advance can you add the Tillandsia to the designs, and do you keep them in the cooler?
You can add the Tillandsias. We put them in like 2 days ago, but Tillandsias are very resilient. And we kept them in the cooler for the last 2 days, not an issue whatsoever. You think in Florida, I mean, our coolers are 39-ish degrees. So, I mean, with these designs, they could be added in very easily at the last minute if you're worried about it, but I have no problem putting them in 2 to 3 to 4 days ahead of time. Absolutely no worries whatsoever. And they hold up extremely well. They were in, they've had no issues. The first design within the Teleflora cubes and the bamboo containers, those have been in the cooler for 2 days. So no issue whatsoever. Thank you for that question.
Awesome, thank you.
So again, we have to have some fun elements that are playful. And again, this is taking some of the aluminum. Y'all can say it with me, right? Aluminum, not aluminum, aluminum. Right, Lottie? So again, using some of the beautiful, this is just some of the beaded wire from Oasis. And this style I just did with a highlighter. So I took a highlighter around the aluminum that made the coils. And you can just kind of see it. Then I actually made my handle, just a real simple handle, back up and through. Then I just took the beads around the outside edge just to do this fun collaring technique. But look how absolutely beautiful that becomes. We next took some of the cymbidium petals. We rolled the petals up, a little dab of Oasis glue, then did a little binding. So binding, this little binding point to create this band on there. Just gives this beautiful rhythm as that goes through. I mean, what bride would not be just gorgeous to be able to take that back? And obviously the keepsake of this bridal bouquet is absolutely beautiful. This would be a great add-on sale to be able to talk to the husband later to say, hey, bring that bouquet back to us. We can redo it for your anniversary. So thinking of some of those fun ways to be able to do that. And dropping this into a beautiful, this was container was from Accent Decor. Is that just not yummy? Beautiful, 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 and pretty. I just love those opalescent colors. So we're gonna go over here and play a little bit on the fireplace and drop these down so we can get a little bit of the cascading there. And also have another beautiful fun bouquet. So this is an inspiration from an inspiration. And I'm gonna show you the front side and the back side. So a good friend of mine, Alejandro, he said, I learned one of your tricks with fiber sticks on one of my Accent Decor I was working with. So he did this technique in one of his bouquets, and I'm like, I love this technique, and it's really easy. This is just taking a heavy gauge wire. I'm gonna have you hold this for a second for me, Chris. So this is taking a heavy gauge wire. So you're gonna put it in your drill with a little bit of, come on, drill. So I'd have my bullion. Zzz, this is my sous chef. Poink. So I've taken the bullion wire and just let it wrap. So that creates that look. And this technique that he did was a really cool bouquet. And I just love this. I mean, I think this is delicate. I think this is romantic. I think this is beautiful. And it's just simple. I mean, just look how those cymbidium orchids just resonate that color playing back and forth with this. I mean, we could put beads on the end of this and different things. Very lightweight, very beautiful. We have things like this we have in our showroom for our brides to pick up. So we got to think about some of these sales and things as brides are coming in. You know, we have customers that are looking for something different, something unique. We need to have some things for them to look at. So to have these be in silk so they can actually play with this later would be an amazing way to be able to show that. So I hope you enjoy how beautiful that little kid turned out. We're going to drop this little guy over here. We'll let a couple of these set down in this section. So palmanders. So this is a fun technique also. And we do a lot of these for our little flower girls. And what's great about this is just simple organdy ribbon made so a loop of a bow, my handle, bow, wire it in the center, and everything is glued. So we glued the beautiful roses, we glued the carnations, the mini carns, and you're gonna see a project coming up that we have the cymbidium throats for, and we just used the throats to make sure that they didn't come apart. So it's all Oasis glue. We did this yesterday. So once you're gonna soak it down with whatever your favorite topical treatment is, Crowning Glory, Hawaiian Mist, Pristine, whatever you prefer to use, and we sealed it in a bag so it did not have a chance to lose the moisture. Or you could just see some little flower girl having fun, or you can see her doing this kind of thing to it too, right? She'll be swinging it around. But we know with the Oasis glue, it's not gonna be going anywhere. So I'm hoping you're enjoying this wonderful little yummy. So we have a great container coming up here from, this is a syndicate sales. And again, playing with some of what I'm going to call, I'm going to have to set this one down for a second. Move my drill just so I have some space. This is one of the Holly Chapel forms. So that form is in that style design. And again, what's great about this, it makes this grid so easy. Beautiful Seneca sales container dropped in there. Chris just designed this little bad boy up, which is so beautiful. Again, we did the tillandsia. It's just tucked in there. You can pull it right back out if you're worried about it. But it really gives you, a great way. Some wonderful motion lines. She connected the grasses to the grid before she tied it, and some of these tied to the design itself. Doing some fun knots with aspidistra leaves, just buying some space, which gives us a really beautiful way to look at some of these over here. So I'm going to set this little kid up here. Romance is still alive, and I love this style. We have done this bouquet several times for different kinds of brides, and I'm sure if you can see all the wonderful yummies that are in there, this is a bunch and a half of Million Star Baby's Breath. And what I did was I did a bear grass tail. We just took it out of the water, so it was in the water just like that, so the baby's breath could still drink. What I love about this is I call it my cat nine. So when he doesn't want to go down the aisle too soon, she can whip him a little bit and get him down the aisle a little faster. But how beautiful this is. It's actually working with the pearls, and this is some of the pearls from, it's Oasis wired. I just took them off, and some of the gems were actually from Fitz Design, and I just glued them. So when you actually thread these through the tail, you put the bead on, a little dab of Oasis glue, and pull it up over it so it doesn't come off. But look how beautiful that is. We also need to teach our brides not to carry it, like dead center. Maybe this is going to be that cascade carried off to the side, so you have this wonderful wisping line playing through. But how beautiful. Romance is still alive and so spectacular. It really makes everything beautiful. We'll set that little trooper there. This is that same style again that I mentioned doing the Oasis, the drill technique. And I wanted to give it a little bit of bling, because those of you that know me know I love bling. So it's that same wire. I've actually taken some brooches and some beads. And again, we're seeing people wanting the same amount of money, and they're going to spend it. And we want to make sure we can get it. So I'm going to flip this over upside down just so you can see the back of it. So it's equally as pretty when I do those same. It's got these little forms that just make it absolutely beautiful. I use some petals just to cover the back of it. But look how beautiful that is. I mean, any bride carrying that would be spectacular. I'm just loving how that looks and just how rich that feeling is. So we'll put this little trooper back over here. You can just see in the lights how much that sparkles and is glorious. Here's just another simple design, and this is just with variegated lily grass. And I just wanted to show how nice that can be, just simple lily grass and roses. You can see they're just tucked through. As I did the spiral hand, I just kept working their way through. What great motion lines those give us, that wonderful movement, which is very, very fun. And that little bit of sheltering that we see there. So we're going to move these little troopers up a little bit further. You can see this white trend, how beautiful that is. And I'd mentioned the cymbidium before. So this is a composite. So this is one stem of pink cymbidiums. This is the pink cymbidium throats. So it's done, there was a little piece of cardboard, if you give me a cardboard. It's just done on a cardboard base. We actually finished both sides off. But if you see in there, it's a cardboard base wrapped in organdy ribbon. This is going to get threaded through. So it's basically, you could use the back of a ribbon just to thread that through. And I'm going to frisbee that off. And what I would do is I would take some corsage pins and pin this to hold that in place. But we left it separate. This was done 2 days ago. We sprayed it with Crowning Glory. I mean, look how beautiful that is. We also covered the handle to make sure the handle would be completely covered too. So we'll drop this little trooper back into here. I'm going to set some of these little pinkies here. We'll put our white up into this area. Just a fun little yummy again. This is one of the accent decor containers. Just like a little simple mother's nosegay. I mean, look at the beautiful dahlias and freesia and tulips, and just a fun little clutch. And again, having some place for them to be able to drop those in at the table if they're sitting down at the table for reusing them afterwards. Just, I love that transition of the beautiful colors from the opalescent into the colored water. And these were accent decor, which is absolutely beautiful. But put these little kids down over here. We're seeing that blush and whites, how beautiful those are. And you're going to laugh at this one. So this is actually a headpiece, and it was going to go with the first brooch. So, da, 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 da. So ideally, this is done with aluminum, and I just did 3 pieces band together to create this wonderful illusion. Again, carnations and baby's breath, some things we're seeing that are a whole different venue now. I think a lot of times people think, oh, I don't want that. But how beautiful that is. It's romantic, it's beautiful, and it's fun. But what if a great headpiece that this would be with a fun brooch there? And it actually was to go with this little set here. So she would have that for her headpiece. Another little set there. This is one of our Holly Chapel eggs. And again, we're seeing bouquets getting bigger. How beautiful these roses are. We have the wonderful peach apricot roses and the ranunculus and the plumosa, hypericum berries. And this is in one of the Holly Chapel egg. Excuse me, this is the pillow. Excuse me, the egg, sorry. Not the egg. So when we put this in there, actually we have one of the plumosas coming out. It really gives us a great way to be able to expand this bouquet open, to make it elaborated and larger. It's very lightweight, but it gives you this beautiful feeling of how nice that bouquet is. I mean, any bride would love to carry anything of that nature. So there's actually the Holly Chapel eggs and the pillows, and I can show you those if we have time, but I'm trying to get through everything, so I don't mean to go fast, but I'm going to keep these coming so that if you have any questions, do a little basic and drop this into. Actually, we'll set this up. We'll set it down for right now, just so that it has a pretty little color there. This is one of the great containers from Accent Decor. I mean, the container is absolutely beautiful and fantastic. And again, playing with that horizontal line, I added the tillandsia, and I covered everything first with the aspidistra leaf. Used a little bit of the pincushion protea, also some of the argonas, which is the burgundy leaf, and also the hypericum berry and spray roses, and just tucked in little nuances of the mosses, just to give us that fun contrast. Here, I used a little bit of permanent botanicals. So these are some permanent succulents we had here at the shop. But when they're in this design, you really can't see that they're actually not real, which I think is absolutely amazing. So we're going to pop this little kid here. Just to give you
John, we actually had a question earlier.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody asking about whether you use permanent botanicals in your arrangements. And if so,
Yes.
how do you explain that to customers?
A lot of times for us, what it was great is there's some things that are in season or not in season. And a lot of times we layer things. So if it's hotter than the dickens outside, a lot of times we'll use an artificial hydrangea under and layer our flowers through it. So it gives us an opportunity to be able to layer the flowers. So we'll use permanents, and by all means, I will say to my bride, you know, if you're looking for a certain, like a good example is Lily of the Valley. They want Lily of the Valley in the middle of the year, we can't get it. There are some beautiful permanents that only you would know the difference, and we can add something like a freesia that would have this beautiful fragrance to it. It's just be upfront with your bride and let them realize that those things do happen, and sometimes you have to use some permanents. Most of the time, brides are like, oh, no problem. We actually have it in our contract, and I suggest everyone to have a contract and have your bride sign it. And now with what we've had with the COVID items, we'll make sure we have those caveats. But we want to make sure that those little line items that we as professional artists, we can change it if we need to at the last minute. We have no problem with our brides signing that contract. So here's actually one of the, another one of the Holly Chapel smaller pillows. Excuse me, this is actually the egg. I'm feeling the egg in there. Small egg, working beautiful garden roses, the freesia, some of the beronia, just a wonderful elongated design bouquet, just very fluid and just fun and pretty. So again, the Holly Chapel stylings, and we left some of these exposed so if you could see them on afterwards, and we'd normally cover them with leaves so you wouldn't see any of that part of it. But what a beautiful look that gives us in that style of a bouquet. And drop this little kid back in the water. Again, beautiful container from, this is an Accent Decor. Are those not beautiful, all chunky and yummy? And again, we did some fun little nosegays, like a little bridesmaid's nosegay. And this is just all shades, tints, and tones of colors, tones and tonalities, how those colors work together and play with the carnation, the little dianthus blossoms and the spray roses. just to be able to have a little drop-in that go in the table. I mean, these are beautiful ways just to be able to see that. You can just see how much these little kids will sparkle up here in the lights. They just make everything just resonate and just so, so beautiful. We have another wonderful container here from Syndicate Sales. And again, trying to find some new ways to do things. And on this design itself, it's actually a Syndicate Sales the rose gold footed bowl. And I just took curly willow branches and I did a ratchet and I bound it on both sides and threaded everything through like this Kubari grid. So it just grids everything through to make this beautiful, natural, fun element, just to make it be a beautiful design. The fun roses working back and forth, the orchids, love the dubium ornithogalum, and the dahlias just terraced a little bit. They really give us a beautiful way to be able to play back and forth with the styling. And with this color, I wanted to show fun things. Those of you that know me know I like doing some fun things that are different.
John?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, my love.
No,
we have a question. Can you say the name again of that burgundy foliage?
It's Argonis.
Thank you.
Argonis, I do believe. Don't hold me to it and kill me, but I'm pretty sure it's Argonis is the name. It's beautiful. It's fluffy and light. It's just absolutely spectacular.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna have Scott come this direction. So again, these are some great, this is a lantern from Syndicate Sales. And just gonna turn our little candles on. But I love magnets. Those of you that know me know I love magnets. So style-wise, I think we may have one of them still stuck in our cooler. Let me just find this one little spot here. So what they are, we did them with magnets. So we encased a magnet in organdy ribbon. And what's going to end up happening is, there should be one larger one, Chris. Yeah. Okay. And I think so often we always try to fill the lantern and make it be that way. But with this, we put the ribbons, so it's going to be kind of, so I'm doing magnet to magnet. The magnet to magnet is going to give you a stronger pull. So I have two of these little kids. So what I want to do is one's going to go in the front of the door, one's going to go on the back of the door. And they're wet, they're not going to want to hold. Come on now. There we go. So to give us a whole different way of looking at this, and can you bring me one more little set of magnets, Chris? Sorry about that. So the magnets, we did the first thing today, and of course it held immediately. And if you need it stronger, you just have to add another magnet to it. But they should hold pretty well. We use them a lot of times on mirrors in different places in facilities. So again, it's magnet to magnet. You can see they catch pretty well. So on this one, I just wanted to do a smaller kid down here and a magnet inside, just to give it a fun little different look to show this beautiful cascade. So if the magnets slide, throw another magnet on it. It's going to change the pull. This is the dorky engineer coming out. It changes the pull to make it stronger in its pull. So we're going to move this little trooper back over to here. And yep. So we have a beautiful little threesome here. This is from Accent Decor. And I love this little container. All we did is take a little aspidistra leaf rolled inside. And what a great rental little set piece. I mean, you could put candles and all sorts of fun different things in this. But look how beautiful that little combination is. We have the fun little pincushion tortillas for focal. Lighting the candles would also be beautiful for this. I'm going to move a couple of these little things out of the way because we're going to run out of space here in about 2 seconds. We still have some more things coming. And,
John, while you're setting up, can you tell us a source for the magnets, please, that you love?
Yes, that source is from Fitz Design. They're a magnet sleeve, And what's great about them is they come in a big sleeve and they're really strong. And there's a sleeve and a slug. So there's a piece of the magnet itself, and there's a little piece. I take the little piece off and use magnet to make them stronger. These are some fun little napkin rings that we made. So again, you'd sleeve your little napkin right through the center of here, or could be a beautiful bracelet. We use Chris's arm into the picture. And we see a lot of times when we do these napkin rings for weddings, people are wearing them by the end of the evening. And this is just some great little Matsumoto. This is taking the aluminum again, stacked 3 together, and just bending it. It's a wonderful technique. And to throw little napkins through here would be a beautiful way. So these are going to kind of go on our little chargers over here. And we have a little bit of colors bouncing back and forth. We'll put a couple of them over here. There should be 2 of these, Chris. So this is a great concept. This is with our Teleflor cube container. What we did, we sushi rolled. So these are taken aspidistra leaves. We took the spine off and used that for our kubari grid on the inside. Look how fun this becomes. Again, we're seeing from banquet halls so many different techniques and ideas going back and forth, being able to connect these guys with their grasses and laying them back and forth for a fun, playful look. But again, it's just taking the aspidistra leaf and the roses of gerbera, do a little bit of terracing, make that idea really, really cool and really pretty. Here's another wonderful item from Syndicate Sales. This is their flight, succulent flight. Look how yummy that is. And I normally think of succulents being in there, but we want to do something that was florally and fun and color. And we're seeing this colors being called Vibrant Vibe. This Vibrant Vibe is just like all these explosion of colors, which is really pretty. Love the connection lines as they flow through back and forth. But it's kind of like a little flight of beers that you'd normally see in a restaurant. This is our flight of florals, which are just the same in yumminess. But how beautiful that would be for our table centerpiece. And we just put birch right across the top of them and pierced all of our little kids through there. And they do have blocks of foam in each one of them. So it gives us a little bit more of a way to show those off a little bit. Another wonderful fun design. So this is going to be a little bit wilder for you. But again, we have those brides that are looking for something a little bit different. Love King Protea. They're beautiful products. Again, the Argonis foliage one more time. Beautiful foliage. They're poison roses and some of the dendrobium orchids and some of the beronia. A little bit of scabiosa and also our silver doll eucalyptus. And again, I like being able to give it that wow factor. So this design is going to go into our vessel up here. Being able to show that off into a really nice way, allowing that to cascade down, which is very, very pretty. Also another beautiful container. This one is from Accent Decor. Love the bling of these. They're just absolutely yummy. And we have water in them, so I'm going to pour out a little bit. But again, working with the Protea. So both sides, they don't have to be identical on both sides. It's like rhythms and balance and counterbalance, pulling your eye through. You know, what a beautiful way it makes that design just have such a wonderful rhythm as we play that through on the table. We're going to move a couple of these little troopers back a little further because we're running out of space. We were having fun, if you can't tell. We were trying to do as many goodies as we could just to get you all tantalized and have some fun stuff. One of our beautiful Teleflor containers. Again, I love the bubbles. Love this look. It's just absolutely great. We use them a lot of times with candles in them. And this is actually a bouquet with one of the pillows. And again, yummy, romantic. And this is kind of the barefoot. And the trend was very much so black tie and barefoot. We're looking at all these pinks and blushes and these like really muted, muddy colors. And we're seeing those. We still have about 6 weddings that are coming up that people they're saying, you know, we're still going to do our wedding. It's wedding now, party later. So it's up to us to capture that as best we can to be able to get that wedding happening now. And we're going to party like there's no tomorrow for next year. But again, how beautiful this is. It's very romantic colors. We're going to pop this little kid up here on this top shelf with our pinks and our lavenders. Again, this is a beautiful container from Accent Decor. I'm going to have to bring Scott over here to our table one more time. knew we were going to run out of space, but didn't realize how much. So again, this is a companion piece. So we have these guys together, and how beautiful. We're seeing golds and the metallics and how pretty those are. And with this design, it's kind of a hedge style design. And being hedge styled, what we did is we left the spot in the center for a candle. And again, if we're worried about any flames, mechanical candles of all types now, before the COVID, we had so many venues that were wanting us to not do real candles anymore. And a couple of especially the art museums. So we've kind of transitioned into mechanical candles. But when you get that flickering light, it just is beautiful and just makes this be this absolutely spectacular look. So we're gonna pop this one over here, this one over here. We have a few more candlelight, makes such a big difference on for there. Another beautiful styling. And again, barefoot. And when we look at this style, it usually has some drieds in it. It has these muddied colors and these beautiful, they're again elongated, wonderful lines with some of the pampas grass. When we see this, black tie and barefoot is the trend that they were showing it. It really is beautiful and it's fun and it really gives you a great way. This one also is in one of the eggs, which is great to help elongate that styling, which makes this a really, really pretty design. So we're gonna move our lavenders back over to here. We're losing a little bit of space. We're gonna put this little kid right there so we can still see him. I had to make a couple larger things because you know you want to have some wow factors, right? So on this styling, this is also in a pillow. I mean, how yummy. We think of the Holly Chapel style. It's all these in and outs, and to me, it's kind of a formal linear. If we think of design trends, a formal linear usually has up and down or valleys, so kind of a little bit interpretive, but this black tie and barefoot, it gives us these muddy roses, which are beautiful, with peaches of the hydrangeas, and some of the snapdragons. Again, lots of depth, lots of volume, and it is in one of the pillows, so it'll just lift right out, which is beautiful for transitioning back and forth. Container there off to the side. I'll take that out. This.
John,
yes.
I have a great question that came in actually that is probably appropriate for right now. Can you talk a little bit about the advantages of selling looks? Because I know you've been mentioning looks, which I love.
Yes.
Can you talk about the advantages of selling those looks instead of specific varieties of flowers, especially with what's going on right now?
Sure, sure. A lot of times it's you can sell them on availability or exactly what they're looking for. Reason why we sell a look, a lot of time we actually have it in our contract also that we want to create the most beautiful illusion for you, the most beautiful wedding for you. And to sell that look, it can be about colors. And we always ask a bride for her color palette. So we have a color palette in our proposal. We send that back with them, and we may have to interpretly change some of the flowers so that we get the right colors that they're actually looking for. So we actually, when we're doing this, like if they're looking for a different kind of a styling, we'll say we can do a look very similar to that. Oh, we're fine with that. What it is about trust. To me, it's 100% about trust of getting the bride and groom, the bride and bride, the groom and groom to trust you. And once they trust you, you have them wholeheartedly and they're going to be happy to let that look be. But you can show them, a lot of times we will put a design together for somebody and have them come in for a first viewing or a first showing. And it's about that trust factor to be able to sell that look they're looking for. Once you have their ideas that they're seeing, it doesn't take long and you'll have the sale captured. So I hope that got it, yes?
Yeah, so true. Thank you. Yeah,
awesome.
Great.
One of our beautiful telephone, I love these votive containers. They're spectacular. It's in the cooler, so it's a little bit wet, so you can't see it. But again, we use them for votives. Want to do a fun collar. And again, this is with the aluminum. And I took some of the gold beaded wire. And then on the back side, I just finished it off with a little bit of bear grass for a spiral. The Free Spirit Rose. I mean, look how yummy that little kid is. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I love how this plays with the Teleflora colors. It just gives you a great place for this to be a table centerpiece. And we're gonna set this little trooper here. We won't do that. There again, look how fun this is. And this is aspidistra leaves. I've used this technique we've had it for a couple brides, and a lot of times it allows you to be able to buy some space. And I know we're getting close on our time, so I don't know if can I show one more little how-to, Lottie, or are we all right?
Go for it, John. We've
Okay,
got a lot
you.
of questions as well, and you know that at the end of it, we're going to have to talk about money. We're going to have to talk pricing.
Yep.
Your favorite
Yep.
subject.
I know, I love it. So this is, I'm gonna have you bring me an aspidistra leaf. So this is aspidistra leaf and roses and the dianthus. And what's great, this becomes an armatured structure. So I'm gonna swap with Chris. I'm gonna give her that and have Scott come over here to the table. So this technique, right here. So this technique is taking an aspidistra leaf. Can you focus in later? And there's a spine down the center of an aspidistra leaf. So I'm not going to go right dead center of the spine. I'm actually going to go right off side to it. I'm splitting it with my knife, going down, splitting this in half. So I've got my two pieces. So what's going to happen, I start with a piece with the spine. So I'm going to take the spine, wrap it around. So it's kind of the first part of a gentleman's tie. Think of his tie. This is going to get tucked up, came through the back side. I'm folding that down. See his little tie there? This leaf's telling you where it wants to go. It's like, I don't want to go there. We want to be this wonderful little rhythm. So it's going to go that direction. I'm going to open my tie up with my finger. And I'm going to scooch, very technical term too, scooch that little kid up and through. And I'm folding that one down also. And sometimes you have to open them up just so it's a little bit rounder. Then what I do next is, we use a lot of staples here. I take my staple gun and staple, staple. So, can I have that bouquet back 1 second? So what this is a bunch and a half of aspidistra leaves all put together to create this yumminess. And what's great about it, because you have all these holes through there, when you go to thread your flowers through, it just becomes this wonderful collection and depth. And it's so beautiful sitting on a table. I mean, it holds up so nicely. It's got its own armatured structure, which is absolutely spectacular. And we can show this again, but I just want to keep on going. So I'll give you that back. Can I borrow your neck for a second, please? So again, doing some fun jewelry. This is my trooper, Chris. She got drafted to help. Again, going to Claire's or some of the boutiques, and all we did was glued the flowers. So it's just I'm going to call it a little fun necklace of some type. And look, I won't actually put it on her because she's like, yay, smile, Chris. But how beautiful that is, whether it's going to be for a mom, whether it's going to be for the bridesmaids, something a little bit different. But pearls are in. Pearls are beautiful. We see how yummy those are. Thank you, my dear. And it's just, everything is just glued right into that little kit. So we'll set that there. And I love this technique again. And John is not carrying a purse. I'm not going to put down my purse, but we found these actually at one of the thrift shops. So they're like the little purse lippies. And we crocheted the very same way to the bouquet. We crocheted the purse in the back of it. You know, what mom would not have some attitude walking down the aisle or walking down her backyard saying, I got myself a purse. She could have herself her little lipstick in there if she wants to and slather that on or whatever she'd like to do. But it's all about us being creative. We need to find new ways to make the wow factor for everybody. And again, Lottie had mentioned about pricing. Is this a 20% pricing? No. I mean, it probably took me about, I would say, an hour. And I actually did two together. I did gold jewelry wire and silver wire together. It took probably about an hour to do the finger crochet, maybe not quite an hour. But what's nice about it is we would probably do a 40, 50, or 60%. I would have no problem selling something like this for $120, $150. It's about the beauty. It's about the originality. It's about us being artists. we as artists, I think we're as guilty of not selling the things the way that we would like to sell them, but what a beautiful keepsake that is for afterwards. And again, it can be made into a permanent botanical afterwards. We did this one this morning. It was fresh and we treated it with topical treatment. So I mean, everything's really, really turgid and very nice, but how yummy that is with the orchids and the dubium ornithogalum, just doing that split contrast of color, those oranges and hot pinks together, how just spectacular and fun those are. So we have one, I know we went kind of fast. I know I ran out of time. So we have one last little thing. When I say a little thing, it's not quite so little. So we have a beautiful container here from Accent Decor, and Accent Decor was so awesome about sending so many great things. This actually comes with a drop-in in it, but we do a lot of fill fasting in our containers. So we a lot of times like to have that wow factor. And I know a lot of times we're seeing people say, oh, I'm not sure if I can sell that, or I wouldn't be able to sell that, sure that little string is hiding there. But think about this. People are still, and like it said, people are not considering changing their budget. So we have 92% of the people still keeping their budget the same. Why not have one or two tables that are right off the Richter scale, having some beautiful elements down at the base of it, making it be the items that they're looking for. I mean, there again, it's about the colors, it's about the impact, and it's about the experience. I mean, whenever we look at these things, I know for ourselves, I mentioned, we just joined Teleflora. We're getting our website redone through Teleflora, which is going to be amazing. We're putting a lot of our own personal pictures on there so we can customize it to be exactly what we want it to be. You know, use the Teleflora prepackaged pictures on, you know, eFlorist, and you can get it those way. But you can make it be your own personal website, which I love. Because it makes us be personal. That's what we are. Each one of us are individual and unique artists, and it gives us that ability to make those be the way. I'm hoping, you know, I want to thank Teleflora for letting me do this virtual program, and I'm hoping you guys had a wonderful time. We had an amazing time playing the last day and a half. Actually, I worked a little on Sunday doing some prepping. Well, maybe last week too, I was wiring and doing some other things. But Teleflora, amazing. Thank you for letting us do this. Please, Syndicate Sales for sending such great product, Accent Decor for sending such a great product, and also Krieger Wholesale for the flowers that they let us have. But I want to thank you in particular because you tuned in. I think we're all looking for some new excitement, some new encouragement. Weddings will endure. We as florists will endure. It's up to us to be positive. It's up to us to not be the victims. I know a lot of us, we've lost a lot of things, but let's change it. Let's make it exciting. Let's make this be the time that people are like, oh my God, they have got to do my flowers. They've got to do the things for me because that's the florist. You've made that connection with them. You've made that sale. They're not going to a company. They're going to you. They're going to you, to your shop, to you as a person. We will always stay around, but I want to thank you for tuning in today. So you have questions, let me have it.
John, we do have a couple of questions. Paula
Yes.
Davis was asking, how does the height of the arrangement play into effect when designing tablescapes?
So a lot of times what we like to say, there's the 14-inch sight line, which a lot of times is going to be your hand or above. You want to either stay below it or go way above it. When we're doing a vessel of this type nature, you can still see through it. So a lot of times in proportions, doing something of this nature that's on a grand scale, I got a little bit smaller tables in because of our showroom was a little bit, these are 48-inch rounds. This on a 60-inch round would be spectacular. And again, to do a place setting of 6 or 8, you know, on a 60-inch round, you can usually get 8 people on comfortably, 10's too crowded. And with social distancing, we have to do that. So what I would say, to have some of these, if you had it in a space, in a venue, in a banquet hall, let's say we had 6 of these tables spread throughout, or maybe on a 72-inch round so they could have a little more social distancing. This impact is going to make such a difference for that bride. This is what they're going to remember. They're going to remember that. So size-wise, by volume, if you have huge ceilings in a room, use that space to your advantage. If you think about it, if you have this huge space, and we're a huge warehouse, if you have all this space and you're putting these little arrangements, they're beautiful. But why not give them that wow factor? Make them think for the rest of their life when they see pictures, oh my God, you did this for me. Look how these pictures look. It's just absolutely spectacular and amazing. So volume and size, but you're gonna get some people who don't want tossed up or I can't see through it. You could also do glass, which would make it a little bit lighter. But I think that vessel in particular is really easy to see through. And again, if you didn't want to see through it, you could have some really wonderful things cascading down so you couldn't see Aunt Gertrude on the other side, so you can cover her up. But did I answer the question?
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
of course, you know, we discussed it, and I know a lot of people are wondering about your pricing. So
Yes.
is there any way, I mean, obviously you've done some amazing work. Is there any way that you could just, you know, pick a couple of items and just sort of give us maybe even a price range?
Sure.
Thanks.
Why don't we do, let's start with this one.
I think bouquets, yeah, perfect.
So style-wise and I'm going to say, pardon me, because I'm not in front of my number crunching, because I didn't actually crunch the numbers, but if you can bear with me. So this is a bunch and a half of Million Star Baby's Breath. So wholesale cost on Million Star Baby's Breath, our cost is about $12 or $13. There again, it's whatever your market is. And again, I'll share with you what we do. This may not work for you. You've got to find out what works for you. So on our fresh goods, it's usually a 4 times markup. So if you do a 3.5 times markup on your fresh, so if you can help me, Lottie, if you're by a calculator, so we'll say a bunch and a half's of 13. So let's say $20 wholesale for the Baby's Breath. 20 times 4 is going to be 80. So I have a half a bunch of bear grass. A half a bunch of bear grass is going to be, we pay probably, this is long bear grass, so it's a little bit long, so it's a little bit more expensive. So this is $350. $350 times 4 is what? Sorry, I can't do the numbers in my head. 15, 14-ish something, if you keep adding that. I did, so these gems, these mirrored gems that you're seeing through here are pins. They're just they're a fits pin. So they have a huge impact, and I use glue to put them back into there. And that little pack of pins maybe was $1.50, and I've used maybe half a dozen. But I'm going to say, just for my value, let's say $1 a pin. So we put 20 of them in there. So let's say 20 of those. And then I used some of the Oasis beaded wire, large bead and small. Actually, it's large and small bead are all in the same beaded wire. And I think they're around $7.50 a spool. So hard goods, there again, it's whatever your hard good markup is, either $2.50 or 3 times markup. Just for ease, let's say I only probably used half of it, so $15-ish. But to me, what's going to change the pricing of this is the perceived value. So it didn't take long at all, to be honest with you. What it is, it was one that bunch and a half of Million Star Baby's Breath. I deconstructed it into pieces about 7 inches long, and I spiraled them all in my hand. I probably had this bouquet done less than probably 25, 30 minutes. But again, let's talk about labor. I've perceived value. I've bought a lot of pricing and a lot of value with this tail and with the beads going onto here. So what I would probably do, this bouquet for us, can you give me a price where I'm at right now, Lottie? Or do you have a number by chance?
Sorry, I have not been adding up for you.
Okay, no worries.
Terrible
this bouquet, we've done some bouquets very similar to this. And price-wise, they range between $175 and $275. It's a perceived value. And we've actually used Swarovski crystals in them before. We've done some of the pearls. They've brought brooches into us before. But price-wise, you very easily could sell it for $100, $150 inexpensively, but you're not making money on that. This is an artist. This is something, when she's carrying this, and she has this in her hand, we want to teach her. You're going to rest your arms on your hip bones. You're going to lay it to an angle to the side and rest your other hand across there. We want it to be this beautiful, graceful line, whether she's in a sundress for now or she's in a beautiful ball gown. It doesn't matter. It's about that illusion and that purchasing of space and the design. So I would probably do a 40 or 45% labor fee on it, would be my guess. 20 is not enough, 30 is not enough, 40, 45-ish is probably where it would be. But it really gives
added
you
your pricing at 130.
130 would be very easy. this is probably for us is more like 175 to 200-ish. But we've sold them. It's according to how many gems we put in there and how broached they are. We're still selling a lot of brooches and a lot of bling. I mean, it really does make a big difference. So let's grab another one. I'll give you this one, Chris. Maybe something.
John, what about your
Yes.
Cymbidium composite piece?
Okay.
Because that's a lot of labor.
So there should be one of those ribbons. I had Sammy do 2 of them. They were in the bag as ribbon on it. Can you bring that to me? So this is one stem of Cymbidiums. Actually, I think it was one stem and one other blossom. And Chris, could you bring a couple of straight pins too for the corsages? So what we did, this is just a piece of cardboard on the inside. But again, it's like I always like to say, whenever you find something in somebody's yard or along the ditchifolia, you still have to charge for it. So it's a piece of cardboard that we took organdy ribbon and wrapped that around there. So that piece of cardboard is probably less than 20 cents, but I'm still going to probably charge $2 or so. We've wrapped it in organdy ribbon. Organdy ribbon is very inexpensive, but it's probably got 5 yards of the organdy ribbon. There should be, it was in the bag with this.
I didn't see it.
Okay. This is the organdy ribbon. Very inexpensive. So we probably have 5 yards wrapped around there. So cardboard, $2. The organdy ribbon, this is probably like $4 or $5 for a spool. So probably yard-wise, it's less than 75 cents a yard, but let's just say $1 a yard. So it's $5. But again, this is a labor thing. Give me a couple big corsage pins. So what you end up doing is we deconstruct the Cymbidium. So there's the large petals and small petals. So there again, that's time again. We separate the large petals in a pile and the small petals. And when we use Oasis glue, we make sure, let's take one of these off here. We make sure that we get the glue on the edge and on the bottom side. So when it goes onto the ribbon, we smear it on the ribbon to score it. So that way when you put the petal back, it sticks faster. So it takes a little more time. This probably, it looks like it took a ton of time. This probably took less than 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It really goes very fast once you have all the pieces and parts together. But again, it's a labor thing. This is going to be to me, because not everybody knows how to do these and make them so beautiful. So what I would do is probably, this would be at least you guys can do whatever your market will bear when you're doing things like that. But very easily, we've made these composites for little headpieces. We've taken 2 Cymbidiums, and those were like around $35 per. And think of 2 Cymbidium blossoms made into a composite with a little bit of a brooch. That's a pretty good markup on that. That ended up being, that was like a 45, I think it was a 40% markup that we did. So when this threads through here, we're gonna pull it tight. And one thing I didn't show you, so once we pull that tight, what we normally do is take a corsage pin and thread that through so it goes into so that collar will not come off. We usually do 3 of them. So on pricing for this little bad boy, you're going to have your Cymbidiums, which are probably, our cost in Cymbidiums, I believe they were 25.
I think they end up being $5 a piece.
They're about
each
$5
bloom.
a block, wholesale or retail?
Retail.
So it's about $5 a blossom, and they range anywhere from 12 to 15 blossoms on there. So for us, I'm just going to round up numbers, so bear with me on that one. I'm going to say they're $25 a stem for however many blossoms are on there. So it was $100 for the Cymbidium. So your base price is there, and your labor. So something of this nature with a 40% labor on there, you're at 140 very easily, 150. You're my numbers person, Scott, so help me if I'm wrong on that. But it's a beautiful way to show something a little bit different. So did that answer that question for you, Lottie?
Yes, thank you, John. Yeah,
Yes,
it's really reassuring that what you're saying is people are still spending money on weddings and stuff.
They
it's
are.
Just up to us to be able to help people to capture that business, even though it's small.
And I think everybody has noticed with Mother's Day. Mother's Day was amazing across the market. Every shop that I've talked to, Color Floor shop, they had amazing Mother's Day. People wanted to spend money. They're at that point that they want to have an experience. They've not been able to be with their loved ones. Weddings are identical. Weddings are not going away. We have to adapt. We as florists have to adapt to make sure that we can maximize the dollar amount that they want to spend. And they might say, well, I'm not sure if I want to do that. It's up to us to be positive. A lot of times in our appointments, it's about the sales. And so we didn't talk about sales a lot. But if I have a bride saying, oh my gosh, I love that, I love that, I love that. My thing is capturing that sale. Well, let's go ahead and let's sign the contract. Let's close that sale. As opposed to, well, why don't you think about it? No, we don't want to think about it. If you like everything, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to sign? I'll go get a contract. Let's sign a contract right now. We require a third deposit. Maybe you change your deposits for now. Maybe you want to do a halvesy. Maybe you want to do less or more. But also in your contract, put that little clause in there that your deposits are non-refundable. We as florists need to watch ourselves and make sure. We've had quite a few weddings that have come up and they've just been postponed. We have a couple of them that are still coming up. Like, we're going to still do our wedding, but we don't want to change a thing. I'm like, yay. So that's what we have to do. We have to be positive. And when those customers are saying, oh, well, I'm not sure. They want to know that we're going to still be around, and we are going to be around. We have to be super positive and to say, you know what, I'm happy to change that. If we're being that contact person, contacting all of the other vendors, if you're that florist, if you're with maybe the videographer, photographer, being in contact with everybody, we think about the bride and the grooms. We have a lot of those go through and they love us. But our vendors are who we keep working with and working with and working with. And as partners, and we mentioned partners, we have all different kinds of partners in our industry. We need to keep those relationships strong and keep them going. So it's about those partnerships too that we need to keep those going.
That's so true, John. Thank you. We've had loads of questions, and thank you so much, everybody, for your input. This is going out on YouTube live, and it will be recorded and put onto our YouTube channel, which is Teleflora Design Education. So if anybody missed any part of it, they can go ahead and hop on over to YouTube. Also follow us on Facebook at Teleflora Industry Relations and Education. We've got a ton more stuff coming up for the rest of the summer. John, thank you so much for your hard work.
Welcome.
Your designs are gorgeous and stunning, and I wish that I could sit here watching you all day long. And I also appreciate your just a little glimpse into your world over there. Thank you so much. And I wanted to thank Amy and her team as well. Thank you so much. Amy worked really hard to get the word out about this program. And I love all the things that you were saying. We'll get as much information onto YouTube and onto our Facebook page for any of those who have asked questions that we haven't been able to answer. But thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you all soon. I miss you.
Miss everybody. Loved everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you. You too,
Thank you,
John.
John.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.